DBJ here. We're going to talk about re-skinning. Um, there are two types of re-skinning, the most famous of which, I would say three. The first one is re-skinning monsters. Take yourself a bestiary, get yourself a bestiary. Frankly, you only need one. I'm going to post a video. Mark Williams has one. I'll post it below. Very good video to look at. You get yourself your bestiary. Open it up to a couple of random pages. Okay. And what you do is you read the stat blocks, right? You get yourself a stat block in there. And then what you do is you reskin it. All right. Now, reskinning creatures sometimes can seem a little scary because your players are expecting something. For example, maybe they're expecting a dragon, some lizard men, some orcs, your basic creatures. So I'm going to give you a couple of rules, about 3 to 5 different rules on ways to reskin creatures. And as Mark Williams said, it's a dirty secret. You really only need one bestiary ever. You really only need one, depending on the game system that you use. And the reason why that is, and I don't want to take anything away from the people who create these great creatures and do this. The reason why is because everything you need is going to be in here. All right, so here's one way to reskin a creature. Change their movement. All right, here's what I mean by change their movement. I don't mean necessarily their movement rate, running, but give them or change the way they move. One of the most famous example of that are the flying monkeys from Wizard of Oz. All right, and the Wicked Witch had her flying monkeys. Well, standard monkeys with with a vest on and symbols and a little bit of a fez. It's not that scary. But you put some wings on them. Now you can picture them being evil. You can picture them flying around like, hey, with the witch cackling with her winged monkeys, and you're going, well, okay, wait, all right, let me see now. They've got wings. There's no jungle around. There's no reason why she'd have pet monkeys. And this doesn't even fit into does it even matter? All right. So take a creature and change their movement. Give them flight. Or give them a very fast movement. Say, take your average orc and then have them be able to run on all fours. Give them equipment. Let them have swords and everything. Let them run on all fours and make them as fast as a horse. It's different. Okay? Give them spider climbing. They're the goblins in Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, the first movie. They had spider climbing. They climbed up before the Balrog showed up. They were spider climbing. Of course, flight. You give them not just superhero flight where they just defy gravity, but give them wings. Bat wings, feathered wings, butterfly wings. The not often used, but possible they're glider wings. Gliding squirrel wings with membranes under their flaps. Bat wings hanging upside down in the dark. Imagine orcs, but they hang upside down in the cave system. They're like bats or something. Okay? So change the movement rate. Give them swimming. Let them make a creature that's not normally aquatic. Give it water breathing and swimming. Here's another one. Tunneling. Tunneling's not used very often. But standing in a large plane under the sun and just seeing this ripple under the ground and grass up to the knees, and you never know where these creatures are going to come out of the ground and jump back into the ground into their little tunneling hovels. It can be pretty scary, all right? So change your movement rate. Second thing is change the name. Just change the name. They don't have to be orcs. You can call them something else. Matter of fact, wherever these quote-unquote orcs would be, the people there, villagers, tribesmen, what have you, they call them something different. Perfect example. If you take a look at the show The Walking Dead, they don't use the term zombie. They're walkers, biters, shamblers. They came up with all these other different descriptors. So maybe the people describe a creature one way, but it's really something else. Using a different name for the creature, like a classic thing would be lizard man. All right? So all the villagers call these dangerous creatures that live out in the swamp lizard men. And so here's my next thing for reskinning. Create a family. All right? Create a bestiary family. So an example would be, let's see on the back of the book. It's a demon, right? Okay, so you take the demon, you take yourself a lizard man, you take yourself some dragonborn, some troglodytes, maybe even some naga, and a wyvern, maybe a basilisk. You throw them all together, and they are all part of the lizard man family. Throw in a troll, okay? And your descriptor of these creatures are all lizard men. So maybe the quote-unquote troll is the chieftain. He's the chieftain of the lizard men. He's a giant lizard, kind of like maybe a chameleon, or those lizards where you cut off their arm and they grow back really quickly, okay? But you can also have a chameleon lizard. A chameleon lizard that's got maybe just, he's a lizard man with additional stealth abilities, or part of another creature like a shadow demon or a shadow that can hide in the night. And this one is able to camouflage himself. So what you do is you create yourself a family. Dragonborn, they are lizard men who have the ability to breathe certain things. And maybe their scales are different colored. They don't have to be. They can be green. You know, green dragons are kind of like, so you throw them out in there. And there could be a green dragon in the game. Maybe the demon is another lizard man. Okay? And he's not a demon. He's just another lizard man who happens to be the rival chieftain as they go to war. And these villagers living in the swamp are just held in the center. And every time you describe them, you're describing them essentially as lizard men. And your players won't know. Okay? It's just reskinning. You can also, the last thing about reskinning, and the last point I'll make about it is, don't force yourself to have to use every and all rules for that creature in the game. For example, the lizard man option. You don't necessarily have to use those same rules. For example, let's say these swamp creatures are diseased. You've been telling the players, hey, there's mosquitoes and there's leeches and there's you got to watch out for insect bites and all these things. And so you look in the book and you realize there's another creature in here that has the ability to infest something else with their attack. Maybe the lizard men breed by infesting the players with something under their skin, and it lets it grow. And when the players die, these seeds or eggs grow inside of the player's stomach. They burst forth, and here we have new lizard men. All right. So you take an ability, special ability in here from one creature, maybe like the what is it? The yellow musk or something, or a violet fungus or something, and you take one of their abilities, You attach it to another creature, and there you have it even more dangerous. My last thing about reskinning is this one's a little more difficult to do. I'm going to end it on this note, and I'm going to call it the surprise. The surprise, the easiest way to do the surprise is through a dead body. And the surprise on the reskin is this, that although the players are expecting to see or encounter one creature, it becomes something else. Pete Posey of Maps and Dragons came up with this extremely detailed descriptor that I love about the players going into a room and women coming out of the shadows. And the beautiful women come out of the shadows. They walk towards the players, looking seductively at them, and suddenly their skin melts away and just shows gristle and bone as they launch themselves at the players. The surprise. For example, players come across in the swamp, they come across a couple of dead bodies, they investigate the dead bodies. The dead bodies' skin starts to move like something's living underneath it. The skin splits open and suddenly something bursts forth. Wasps, rot grubs, some kind of swarm-like beetles come out of their bodies. Another thing, player characters are surrounded by a horde of zombies. The zombies are infected by this infestation in this swamp. As the zombies shamble closer, the zombies open up their mouth and out pours oozes, a black ooze, black pudding, gray ooze. They breathe forth a noxious fume of I don't know, one of those spore type creatures or something. It's the surprise. So yeah, you doing a reskin from surprise is awesome. It's like a ticking time bomb. Imagine the players go back to the village and the villagers need their help and the villagers start coming down with fever. Okay, well, come down with fever. All right, so one of the players is a cleric. You start investigating and you realize that they've got these bites on them, strange bites and afflictions and such. And over time, each of them will die. And then, of course, here comes the chest burster. Stomach bursts open. Pus pours out. Here comes a creature. And you looked in here. You found something in there. Maybe an insect horde or some kind of ooze or something nasty. Snakes. Snakes intertwined inside of the bones of a skeleton. Just basically mixing creatures together. You can always reskin anything. Change their color. Change their environment. Meaning taking a normally aquatic creature and putting it in a desert. Taking a normally ground-based creature and putting it into a cave system or a cliff-dwelling system. Just change the nature of it. Change the color. If it's normally spiky with a lot of barbs, maybe you change the color of it. Now it's bright red. It has flames. It is smooth colored. It, instead of looking ugly, it looks very beautiful, and vice versa. So, reskinning, guys. I got another reskin for you too that's going to cause even more damage. But in this one, take a book and just be real creative with it. Thanks a lot.